Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Gabe.
I'm Paloma.
And welcome to Social's Lifestyle Podcast. If you're new here, we are advocates of the cannabis community, educating and informing cannabis users and non-users alike. Normalization comes from conversation, so join us every Wednesday. Well, actually, next week we will be doing it on Thursday, dropping the audio release with respect to 9/11 and the memoriam of that. So we will be dropping it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor as well. And on the following Friday, we will drop it on YouTube and the WeTube. And I have here Paloma. Make sure you follow her on Instagram at positively_Paloma. She's a great guest. I believe we met.
Thanks for having me.
Oh yeah, no. Thank you for being here. You said you're based in Mission Viejo, right? Area, so it wasn't too far.
Viejo, Laguna Hills area. No, not too bad.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
But you know how it is living in Orange County.
Oh yeah, I used to work out at the Spectrum, so I would drive out there, and it was like 45 minutes, and it's only like 20 miles.
Totally.
Yeah.
You know.
But it's all good. I'm so glad that you're out here. It's episode 4 of the Social Lifestyle Podcast, and we're here to talk about a lot of things. But first, let's just get started with who you are. And let the people know what's going on.
Well, thanks for having me again. My name is Paloma, and I'm from Orange County. I just absolutely, any opportunity that I have to speak, on cannabis and how cannabis is sort of in my life as a Canna Mom, and hopefully just sharing my story inspires people. And,
that's nice.
Plus, I love it. That's one of my passions.
Yes, and same here. As you can tell, we're very passionate at Socials, but
for sure.
I really appreciate you coming on, and I really want to know, how did you get into cannabis? Like, what really enticed you and got you curious about it?
Yeah, so I'm originally from San Diego, and so cannabis has pretty much always been on.
It's been down there for a while,
right?
Okay.
Pretty, for the most part, normal. In a sense, even though it was illegal, sort of everybody did it.
Right.
So just sort of being around it, I started smoking cannabis when I was 13.
Okay.
And, just...
Like, was it casually or with friends?
With a best friend, and we kind of experimented with it.
After school at 420?
Yeah, exactly. So just the typical stuff like that, although I would not sort of condone usage at that young of age.
Right.
You want 21 and up or what have you, but so that kind of was the beginning, and sort of always just have had a relationship with Mary Jane. It's I just enjoy it, and it helps me, and I've always been kind of a high-strung person. And so to have the ability to just kind of relax and mellow out, it's awesome. I did, however, relocate into a non-legal state back in 2008 or 9. And
that must have been tough out there, like going, because you're so used to consuming and then having to not be able to, or not, it's just having to sort of be doing that against the law and have that feeling, right?
I was just going to say that is something that I just wasn't interested in. I just didn't want to. I worked for a really prestigious university, and I did not want to risk any of that. And so I didn't consume for practically almost 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. So, I mean, I did socially maybe like 5 times, here and there.
Casually.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then it was just like, it kind of like took the joy out of it, because you're just like, do I smell? Do I look high?
Yeah.
When
you're too
I'm not supposed to be, it's against the law. And, it's just kind of takes.
It takes the fun out of it. I totally agree with that.
And for me, it was for anxiety. So if it's going to make me anxious in a sense, well, then it kind of defeats the purpose.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's kind of what I went through there. And during that time, actually, I consumed more pharmaceuticals than I ever have in my entire life. I depended on Xanax. I depended on antidepressants, for general anxiety disorder.
Oh my gosh.
Where the difference between that is, which, not to knock that, everyone has to do what they have to do. And I did what I had to do to be okay and be somewhat well.
Right.
However, those medicines, they don't really resolve things. They
sort of just maintain, or like they just numb you, right? And they just maintain that effect. They don't treat the pain, they just manage the pain.
Right. And also just like with cannabis, as you know, specific strains of cannabis can really allow you to sort of see yourself outside of yourself. And I think Bob Marley said something about that. I don't
Yeah, it's
know.
a quote like
A
that.
quote like that. Yeah, it kind of reveals yourself to you. And yeah, that's how I use it now, and that's why I use it, and it has helped me tremendously in
That's
many,
awesome.
many aspects of my life.
I'm glad that it provided an alternative solution as to being on Xanax and all those depressants and pharmaceuticals, because at the end of the day, cannabis is a medicine, and it comes from a plant. It's very natural and organic. It's important that we advocate that, and I like how we met through you on Instagram. You were
Right.
advocating, pushing at cannabis education, and you supported us, and then we met at events. It's just so funny,
Yes,
like
absolutely.
to finally when we it's cool when we go to events and we see you, because it's like I know you on Instagram, and then when I see you in person, it's like, oh my gosh, it's a great time.
Totally. It's like it's such a small industry in a sense. Like within it feels small. Like we're all kind of family and we know each other. And especially in Orange County or in Southern California, we're sort of, although this, it's kind of a little bit in its infancy, this whole cannabis thing. Like it hasn't been recreational legal for a while now.
No, it's barely been a year.
It's just barely. And so you and I and everyone else within our network, we're sort of the ones that are sort of speaking on this for really the first time. And it's especially important for me to do so because I am a mom, I am a woman. I want to show people that I myself, I don't have I can't just chief away,
Right.
I have
You have
responsibilities
and you're a functioning member of society.
I was just going to say, and I want to prove that we are not all just stoners. And
No, we're breaking that stigma. We're living proof of that. And it's important to do that in every day. It's not necessarily by waking and baking, but it's by finding your balance and how it benefits your life and advocating to each their own. Like however you find your balance, that's how you find it. And, we wish nothing but the best for everybody and peace and happiness. And we could only learn that. We developed that through consuming cannabis and talking through people and meeting people like you.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah, I think we have to show people that we are, citizens to be respected just as much as anyone else or others who don't. And that's kind of part of why I advocate for it. So.
And I mean, it ties back to like how you felt when you were in a non-legal state. Your morals and your values. Even like you consume cannabis and you still have values of breaking the law. You don't necessarily like that.
Exactly.
And none of us do because we feel like it's it's our human right to consume this. We have natural cannabinoids in our body.
Absolutely. And like you said it before, it's just really important to do what's best for you. If that's not consuming cannabis, sure.
Yeah.
If it's consuming cannabis and using antidepressant, or I don't know if that's okay, but whatever you is
to
best
each
for
their own.
you.
Like I said, like however you find your balance, we just understand that cannabis can help benefit people. Sometimes it doesn't have to be consuming it. Like it could be, for example, like Bailey's CBD. They have CBD for pets.
Right.
So maybe you're not a consumer, but what if your dog is in pain? You want to treat them and give them the proper product and the proper solutions to help them. And that could be a way of doing that.
Right.
That's an option.
I think when it comes to cannabis too, it kind of breaks my heart that there are still states that don't have medical marijuana laws and programs, because at the end of the day, I think about that often. I think about how, when my mom, she's passed now from cancer, I wish that maybe she could have expressed herself if she had cannabis, high potency, versus morphine for pain. Maybe she would have been able to, you never know,
You
that
never
sort
know.
of thing. So it comes down to compassion.
That's
we
true.
need to really advocate for people who are sick. I mean, children who are suffering, who maybe can be cured from seizures by having the cannabis. And unfortunately, maybe some children, they don't live in a legal state.
Right, so the parents have to go out of
state. I don't only speak on our state. I want to also advocate for those people who it could literally just be a simple oil or tincture.
Yeah. Just like a few drops under the tongue, 2 times a day or something like that could save a kid, and that's...
Who knows? I don't, yeah. So it's just really important that I feel like we highlight most cannabis users are very compassionate people. And that's what we that's what we need to highlight for
Exactly.
sure.
Exactly.
And then also at the end of the day, you know, there are some of us that just want to get high.
Yeah, and cannabis offers like
there's
a
the
wide.
recreational side of things, and
Yeah,
I'm not
there's
here to front. Like,
yeah,
there
there's
are some days where mommy throws up the deuces and is like, "See ya," you know.
I'm
I don't
getting
reach for my wine.
faded.
I don't drink. You know, I don't
Yeah.
reach for wine. I reach for joints,
Yep.
and
I like that. I like
yeah,
joints too.
yeah, I love joints. Oh my gosh.
Do you know how to roll a joint?
I absolutely do.
Oh, you
I'm
need to
usually
teach me.
always
I
the
don't
one.
know. Dang.
But I don't roll with like this new school method with the tips.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
You roll
like
old
I need.
school?
I was
Okay,
gonna say
okay.
I need to step up my game with that and put the filter tips and
Well,
my
at least you
blunts
know
and
how to
joints.
roll.
This is true.
Yeah.
This is true. But at the end of the day, too, people just we want to check out. Life is tough.
Yeah.
Life is hard.
Definitely.
We have a lot of things that we stress about.
I agree with that.
And, if it means that my quality of life is going to be improved and I'm going to be a better mom, just an overall
Right.
mentally healthier perspective
Mhm.
because I am able to consume. And then, there will be times where I just want
Exactly.
to get ripped.
It depends on those days.
Yeah, it depends on those days. Exactly.
So let's
Just kinda
say
let loose.
let's say like on one of those days, you want to get super ripped, right? When you go to
Life is hard.
what's the move? Do you go to a shop? Do you do delivery service? What's the process on how you get your medicine?
Yeah, so no, I've never done a delivery service, by the way. I
Oh,
should
really?
probably try that. Yeah. Usually I go to a dispensary.
All right.
And for me, because I don't consume a lot of cannabis,
Mm.
it could be as little as once a month.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
wow.
My flower, I make it
So
last.
you're huge on the microdosing aspect
Yep,
of it. Okay,
I
cool.
definitely microdose. I usually might go through my day without consuming. If I do, it's when kids are napping
Uh-huh.
and I microdose. And that's if it's like if I want to be creative, if I want to paint while they're napping or write, I'll pick a strain.
Oh, okay.
So I have my stock.
I get you.
And depending on what I need or what I want to do is how I select. Like if I want a sativa, I know the specific sativa will make me
What?
feel this
Dang.
way.
You really are knowledgeable about yourself.
I
That's
absolutely
awesome.
journal. Like absolutely, I know
What?
exactly what I've consumed. I know
Dang.
how much I've consumed, how much I can consume. If I
Whoa.
want to, like maybe be spiritual, like if I want to be,
Mhm. So like so
like for
you
my
kind of
spirituality and like
you guide
or
your
just
highs, right?
do.
Wow.
Yeah, guide them.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
See, that's
awesome.
also why I like to share my story and like
Mhm.
what I do because I feel like I'm a little bit different than
Yeah.
the majority.
You're a lot more in depth as far as like your personal cannabis consumption and your journey as well. Like
Yeah.
you're very in depth as
Probably
far
has
as
a lot to do with my overthinking. Yeah, for sure. And
No.
just wanting to know, like,
I think it's your curiosity. I think it's just your passion in
True.
cannabis and your eagerness to dive into further. I have that same passion. I mean,
for sure. And because we don't have solid facts, like it is really in its infancy and nobody can tell you. And even if, one particular flower might be different for you than it is for me.
right.
And so at the end of the day, we really kind of just don't know for sure. And so
Right.
I do like to kind of take mental note or,
Yeah.
physical note. But
That-
yeah, microdosing, consuming flower
Yeah.
and,
And logging it too. Like
Uh-huh.
that's how you maintain
For
the
sure.
consistency. So
For
that's
sure.
like when you go in the shops, when you're in the shops, do you sort of like what are the main elements that you use when you're purchasing your flower?
Right. So usually when I walk into a shop, I am, I have trouble sleeping.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I know for sure, like, I want a good solid night's sleep.
Right.
I always go for the heavier indicas.
Right.
And then I'll usually always do a sativa. Very ever rarely do I ever get a hybrid. I know that sounds really crazy because it's rampant. Like it's all hybridized
Yeah, it's
now.
pretty. Yeah.
But
But
there's
you-
something to be said about like even like OG strains, like old school strains, but not OG strain. Shouldn't say that.
Yeah.
Like, you know what
Like
I mean?
classic strains, yeah.
Classic
Yeah.
strains, exactly. And whereas some others and most others need that potency,
Right.
I'm not really looking so much for like knock my head off type stuff, you know.
Right.
So, however, that being said, it is important for consumers to look at the potency and ask questions about how much THC, CBD, or other,
Yes.
you know,
Because that weighs into what the effects are going to be like, and it's really important to know what you like personally. Like for me, when I go to the shops, I kind of figure not necessarily the percentages, but I look at more the aroma effects and also the strain names. Those are like the main two things that I prioritize on how I choose my flower.
For sure.
So how it smells, on the quality of the smell, because I feel like the scent, you can definitely tell when it's a lot more on the quality side, like upper end quality. It's cleaner and it's very potent. Like if there's a lot of pining in it, it's gonna smell piney. You know, I really like my terpene profiles to be on point with it. With
so
the
you do definitely kind of focus on terpenes as well, and
terpenes, and less on the THC percentage, because I've started to notice. Actually, recently I went up to NorCal and I had some Gary Payton from Cookies when it was 22%. Then I had some Ember Valley Zookies, which was 28%. And the funny thing is, like, they both hit good. Like, they were great strains. But the Gary Payton hit me sooner than the Zookies did.
Interesting.
Very interesting, because even though the percentage was lower, I got high faster. Like, almost instantaneous. Like, it was just like...
Did you happen to look up that, so the terpene profile in that strain that did affect you more so?
In the Gary Payton, I didn't. In the Zookies, I did, because it was a hybrid. And then I looked into it. It kind of hit me more on like the mellow side. It was like more of an indica dominant, I'd say, feeling effect wise. But I still have my like sativa cerebral uplifting effects, because I naturally am just uplifting. So I feel like when I'm high in general, I'm uplifting even more.
Yeah.
So it's hard to kind of gauge if the sativa effects hits, but it makes it easier for when the indica effects hit.
True.
So that's the good thing about that's how I know my body.
Yeah,
you know?
That's really awesome, and that takes time to nail down and learn.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because
time and a lot of
there
thought.
are a lot of thought. Exactly.
That self-perception, like Bob Marley said, you got to think about yourself from the outside projection of yourself.
You really do, and the cannabis really, even just now, like it helps you discover something about your body and yourself. Like,
exactly.
That's pretty special. It's just a really overall special thing. But people, you know, you've heard of the entourage effect and that whole thing. So
yeah, I've heard of it. I don't know too
when
much.
You were talking about it, neither do I. I don't want to really speak on it too much.
Right.
But
because it's in its infancy, like cannabis in general.
You know,
like,
you hear it a lot. You see companies even marketing their products on it. But you know. And if somebody who's listening and watching, if they could kind of point me in the direction.
Yeah,
if
or
there's
comment
ever,
below. Let us know.
Comment,
give us some information or who's the source, how we can find out more about the entourage
solid
effect.
Evidence that the entourage effect is happening? And is
That's
kind
a good
of
question.
what because I'm leaning towards no. However, there's just so much information happening. Literally, I wake up and there's new stuff.
Exactly.
And
that's what they say about the industry. It's like everything is new. It's ever changing, and you have to just go with the flow and be able to adjust accordingly. You know,
from the top to the bottom. You really do.
cannabis.
And that being said, again, you know, I speak on the plant. I don't know all of the plant. Like, I don't know, you know, I don't claim to know. And honestly, the type of people that I meet in the industry that kind of have that attitude, I really just don't, like, I can't, because we'll never really know. We're learning so much every single day. Like, I just don't.
There's too much new information. It's hard to even, like, learn the old information and the new. And that's sort of a struggle I have, too, because you know, when I do my research, you're doing it in different areas. You're doing it in either the community, the industry, or just the plant in general.
Right.
And it's hard to sort of distinguish what you're learning and how to apply it in each area.
And not only that, but we're talking about an industry that was against the law. So
for thousands of years,
for information, we don't like. Well, is this for certain? Is this fact? Is this, you know, how long is the credible? Exactly. So it's really hard. Yeah. But I kind of felt like I needed to disclose that for sure.
I think it's important to get that out there, just to sort of, because it's important to just ask the questions, not necessarily have the answers, but if you just ask the questions, you might get the answer.
And have the dialogue. That's why I just like talking about it. Like, just like people like talking about cars.
Yeah.
And, you know.
That's true. Yeah, like
we
people
need
like
to just
talking
have
about
the dialogue. Sport.
It's just it's a big topic of ours, and I feel like that's something we have in common. And not only do
Totally.
we like to talk about it, we like to consume it, and that's the equal.
For
We have
sure.
that respect and the symbolism of peace and unity through cannabis.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And we show that through our conversations. Yeah, but it's so awesome that like you're out here. I feel like when we met at the Wolfpack event, it was just an amazing time because
Totally.
I didn't expect you to be there, and
Yeah, no, it was a great event, by the way. Wolfpack mentality.
yeah, shout out to Bailey and Zach,
Bailey and
doing big
Zach,
things
for
over there. I think
sure.
they're going to be in Phoenix this
Oh,
month,
cool.
and
Yep,
then they're
yep.
going to be doing
I think
Vegas.
Mom That Jeans or Mom.
She's hosting, yeah.
Yep, is
Mom That
hosting.
Jeans.
Yep. So check them out if you haven't, if you're in the Phoenix area, because Bailey is doing really awesome things for
Yeah,
sure.
she
for
is.
Sure.
She's on the up and up, and as we all are,
True.
Another guy I met through cannabis. His name's Brody from Mr. Nice Guy. He says a rising tide raises all boats, or a
Very
rising tide
cool.
raises all boats. And yeah, I feel like that's how the cannabis industry is. The more information we push, and the more we push in legalization, it's gonna rise the business to be more legitimized. And we're on the forefront of that. We're those boats, no matter
Right.
what size. If you're a yacht or if you're a little
So
canoe,
true.
we're all
true.
raising.
Yeah, and also speaking of that, the reason why we have to, I feel like, is we do like back to being respected. We really do, have to sort of, I don't know, got something to prove. Maybe
yeah,
a little bit,
definitely,
right? Do you
definitely.
think so?
Yeah, as
I
far as
didn't know
breaking
if
the
I-
stigma,
right?
we
right.
have to. We have to be living proof of that and living examples because we have a magnifying glass on us. You got to remember, like
I didn't know if I was okay to feel that way, or have it, but yeah,
no,
yeah,
true.
you agree.
Like
you agree.
you see it, like you said, when you were around people, even just in general life, like when you're around people and they smell it, they look at you a certain way. Am I right?
It's true.
So but you have
Especially
to be,
other moms. No, thank you.
right?
to
And
them.
I don't know anything about that,
Yeah.
because obviously I'm not a mom, but
Right.
I could only imagine that sort of effect of being like viewed as the other. Nobody likes that.
Right.
So
Right.
we have to
Or
be
an
living
outsider.
proof. Exactly. But the funny thing is cannabis shows us the true aspects of our inside.
Absolutely.
That's what
Also about others. Just FYI, that's happened to me a few times
Oh,
where,
yeah.
where I'm like, wait a second, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes cannabis helps me. I've heard some people say it helps
Reveals.
them tolerate the BS too, or helps
True.
reveal. It helps them see through the BS, like all that.
yes, that's what I meant. Totally. Yeah, it really does.
Yeah.
It's this amazing plant. It
Yeah.
really is.
It's a teacher. I feel like every time you puff, you sort of learn something new, or every experience when you're consuming with people, it's always an amazing
It's a
time.
total, yeah, and the experiences can vary for sure. Yeah,
Definitely.
like depending on what
And
environment.
the conversations can vary. Like you never know what you'll get into or what you'll talk about with
True.
somebody, and you'll be like, "What?" Like and then you'll meet other people and like, "Dude, I met this one time we were just smoking." Or sporadically when
right.
someone has like a blunt or something and you're walking by and they're like, "Hey, you want to smoke?"
Right.
Yeah, I got some. Let's pitch in. Just that
Right.
culture of cannabis that's just what gets me eager to jump into it.
It is a very much of sharing, compassion, of caring, of I think one of the best things that I like about being in this space is there's no judgment.
Exactly. And that's what we want to do
In a
here.
world where we're, especially women and moms, we're constantly being judged. It's nice to be able to have friends
Yeah.
and acquaintances and be in this space that for a fact that you could absolutely be yourself.
Yes.
And there is a lot to be said about that. Like, at the end of the day, you really do have to be good within yourself and be happy within yourself and
yes.
align and find things you align with, because there's always going to be somebody judging you. There's always going to be, or people feeling like they have to keep up with the Joneses. That's another thing with cannabis. I don't feel like that. Whereas before I did, especially when I lived in a non-legal state. So it's nice to just kind of like, nope,
Wow.
not
really
going to
like
live
that.
my life like that anymore. I'm going to be honest
And be true to yourself.
and I would be true to myself. And I would encourage people who maybe they're in the cannabis closet that maybe I would,
encourage
if
them
they
to just,
feel like, you're in the Orange County area and you want to be supported, reach out.
Yeah.
Don't stay in the cannabis closet because, be true to yourself. And if you can, obviously within means, come out.
Yeah. And if you're ever nervous, to those people who are, and especially in the Orange County, LA, Southern California region, send a DM to us, and we can definitely schedule. Like, I'm constantly at events, and we're constantly on the move, so we can set up a time where if you want to just meet people who consume and talk about your journey, we can talk about that.
Absolutely.
And that might give you the right inspiration or motivation to come out and speak up with your family and things like that.
For
because
sure.
It's important in order for you to feel true to yourself, you got to be able to express yourself to others in the most pure form.
So true. I think also too, what it came down to for me too is, they don't pay my bills, the people that are judging.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
You don't pay my bills. You're not doing, this. Mm-hmm. I'm going to do what I have to do and what's best for me.
Right.
And then what happened is those people that really did genuinely care for my best interest stuck around. And the ones that didn't. So again, there's a positive for cannabis.
Yeah. Maybe it might not show you at that moment, like you might not see through it, but over time you'll see who the real ones are and who really care about you.
Yeah, because it's not like I walk around stony baloney all the time anyway.
Yeah, and I still have friends who still think that. They think, oh, I'm always high. Right. That's just part of the stigma. But like I said, you just got to be living proof and make sure you advocate. That's why we're cannabis advocates.
For sure.
And it's important as advocates that we ask the question, moving forward, is like, what steps are we taking to give back to the community?
Yes.
And I think that that's something all of us in the cannabis industry need to start to focus on while we're growing as a business, and also as a community. We need to start focusing on how we give back as far as like beach cleanups and things like that.
Right, because you guys are doing some things with that, right?
Yeah, we're participating in the beach cleanup on September 14th. It's actually inspired by Cannabis. Johnny, he's the one throwing it.
I got my shirt on
there
today.
you go.
Yeah.
That's one of them.
Hi, Johnny.
Well, yeah, shout out to Johnny. And then we're also doing a food drive in November.
Oh, cool.
We want to do something to feed the homeless. There's a lot of homeless, especially when I go to events in LA. I see how bad Skid Row is and everything.
It's gotten so horrible.
Yeah, so I just want to help do my due diligence and just give back to the community. It's important that we do that.
It is important. So I'll definitely mark that in my calendar then.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. We'll get in touch if anyone wants to reach out.
Absolutely.
We'll get that going up and running. But we got plenty of time right now. We're just so thankful to have you on here.
Thank you.
Like you said, like you're pushing the forefront of normalization. A woman, mom, just constantly pushing, advocating the knowledge of cannabis, logging everything. Like that's amazing to me that you go that far in depth, and that motivates me to push to be more organized with myself and my cannabis consumption.
Yeah, just because if you think about it, if I were to take a pill, I would want to know and make sure that I was going to have the same outcome, or at least a consistent outcome. I don't have sometimes, but the thing about that too is that genetics, cannabis specifically plays a part too, right?
Yeah.
Because if I purchase, I don't know, alien cookies from one place, it might not be as good as alien cookies from another.
Yeah.
So it's just important. Just anything that you put in your body, you really do just have to do the homework.
Yeah.
Again, unless you're just want to get high.
Yeah,
that's cool too. Nobody exactly.
But to the ones who want to know, it's
for medicine and health and wellness for me and my ailments, I definitely need consistent, and I need to know okay, Purple Punch is going to make me feel this way, and for the most part, and this is what I need right now.
Okay.
Or I don't have an appetite because I am stressed.
Right.
My go-to strain for that, boom.
I see.
Let me go to my dispensary and get it.
Okay.
So yeah, I think it's just awesome. Really, I would, I know a few other Canna Moms that kind of do the same.
Wow.
Yeah, kind of just to
we should do a video or something where we kind of get that, because I want to learn personally how to do that, and then also how we can promote that to other people, and if they're curious, we can show that, and it's important to provide good quality content. So,
absolutely. And then the other thing, I even go even crazier and just how well did I sleep? Have I eaten? Was it the first thing in the morning? Mm-hmm. Have I gotten high today? Right. And then I'm trying this strain that I've never tried before. So just a complete awareness, and just, for your own personal experience, because how that varies.
Yeah,
for sure.
Definitely.
For sure. It just varies.
Yeah. Well, man, I'm so thankful that you've come on here and you've provided us with all this insightful information, and that you developed all these amazing topics. I mean, these all came from you. We talked about, what are the elements that you provide, or you consider when you purchase cannabis. We talked about the entourage effect, and we also talked about how we're going to give back to the community and being cannabis advocates and enthusiasts.
Absolutely.
So I'm just so thankful that you're here.
Thanks
Episode
for having
4 of
me.
the podcast. This was great.
So exciting.
Oh my
It went
God.
by so fast.
Yeah,
I have
it's just
so much
wild.
more to say, but I'll be back hopefully if you'll have me.
Oh, yes,
I have
most
so
certainly.
many other topics that I want to pick your brain about too. And,
Oh yes,
I
thank
would
you. I would love to just dive into more of them. There's going to be a lot more videos coming up soon.
For
So
sure.
definitely comment, subscribe. Thank you guys. We just got a huge jump in the YouTube. Really appreciate that. Keep it up. We
Awesome.
love all the support.
Congrats on that.
Oh,
for
thank
sure.
you so much. I'm so happy, so thankful, so blessed. So
Absolutely.
yeah, thank you for stopping by. I'm Gabe.
Paloma here.
And I'll
Stay
see-
inspired.
Yes, stay inspired, and I'll see you next time.